So I think a really great place to start would be like, let's say I really want to aim at the intermediates here, because that's generally the people that are probably going to take the most out of this anyway. So somebody that's been working either pseudo full-time or full-time as far as pay and hours, and they're coming to you for like, help, or what do you find is like the most common thing that people in that space get wrong?
The biggest thing is that they're marketing to the wrong people. That's
okay.
Number one. I feel like they don't. It's a combination of not knowing what to say, and also not knowing who to say it to.
I was going to say, does it feel like they don't themselves understand who their people are, or that they're just bad at the marketing side?
Well, I'd say it's just not knowing who they're trying to reach.
Okay.
Because if you don't know who you're trying to reach, like that is kind of that's indicative of not knowing how to do marketing, right?
How to do the marketing, yes.
Yeah, so I feel like they're actually like kind of two related.
Gotcha.
But ultimately it's just people, and this is not just intermediate, like mid-level producers and engineers. This is everybody from a total noob to some of my students who have worked with multiple, Super Bowl halftime show artists.
Yeah.
They don't, not knowing who you're really trying to help, and not knowing who your best and like most uniquely, what's the word I'm looking for?
Suited to help.
Suited, yeah. Like there's always going to be some artists that you are the perfect fit for. Mm-hmm. And very few people spend the time to figure out, well, what does that person actually look like? Who mm-hmm. is that? What is that ideal client like? What are those people like? And once you figure that out, it makes it a lot easier to understand, well, what do they need? Mm-hmm. And like, what, how do I position myself? How do I make them realize that I'm like the only choice for them? Like I'm the only one that has this weird, quirky, set of experiences and tastes and personality mm-hmm. that really just brings the best out of them. Because if you can figure that out, then all of like social media becomes so much easier, because you know what to say and who to say it to. Designing your website and like writing your About Me bio becomes so much easier because you know who you're speaking to. Like doing like cold outreach becomes fun and exciting because you're starting conversations with like potential new friends, not just like, spamming the world with used car salesman approaches, So ultimately that's like probably the biggest thing that I help my students with. And again, at like whatever level they're at, it's just really trying to get as deep of an understanding. It's like a deep understanding of who they can most help, who finds the most value in like the unique thing that I do, or like the unique approach that I have, the perspectives that I have on music. And then how do I shine a light on those things so that way they see it? There's going to be, I'm a complex human. There's going to be like 1,000 things that I can do and want to do and I enjoy, but it's a matter of how do I find the ones that, like the parts of the which side of the puzzle is going to align with the exact thing that they need, and how do I shine the spotlight on that?
100%. And this is a lot more complex than just saying like find a niche, because like Ooh. You know what I mean? And it essentially is that, but it seems like you have words to say about that.
I got so many words. Got so many words. And I'm actually I'm launching a new product specifically. I'm launching a new guide specifically about this. So this is like, I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
So okay, your niche. I define your ideal client inside of the center of a Venn diagram between what I call the 3 niche circles. Okay, the first circle are going to be people that make music that you enjoy, right? And brings you bring that makes you feel passionate about, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this does not need to be a specific genre, because most people, when they think of what what their niche is, they think genre, like, oh, I do hard rock, or I do hip hop, or I do electronic, whatever. But rather than thinking of it as a genre, I think of it as what I call the style niche. And it's like, what are the underlying characteristics in the music that moves you? So they could be non-genre specific. So like for myself, I love big, catchy vocals, massive rhythm sections, and lots of little nuances and nerdy textures that nobody notices till they listen to the song 10 times. Some pop has that, some pop doesn't. Some country has that, some country doesn't. Some hip hop has that, some hip hop doesn't. Some metal has that, some metal doesn't. So it's not a genre. It's like these underlying characteristics. Okay. So style niche. That's your first circle. Second circle. I used to call this your service niche, and that used to be like the people that want to hire you to do the thing that you do. Right? Like they need a mix engineer. Cool, they're in there. But I've since adapted that, and now I look at this as your problem niche. Is people that have a problem that you are uniquely suited to solve.
The pain point you can relieve. Yeah.
Yeah. So for myself, I'm just using myself as an example to kind of like express this, but I am at my best when I am doing mixing and additional production. I'm not the best to. I don't enjoy doing full productions. I just don't, and I don't enjoy just mixing and just balancing things and adding reverb and whatever my mom thinks mixing is. Actually, she probably doesn't even think that.
She doesn't even understand what a mixing does. Yeah.
Yes. I put in a thumb drive. I shake my laptop, and out comes Spotify
music.
So, but what I really love doing is I love coming into this situation coming into the project when the production is at like 98% ready to send off to mixing.
Okay.
And it's a lot of stuff that the producer and the artist were banging their head against the wall trying to figure out, like, how do we get the bridge to feel like it grows more? How long should the intro be? This snare drum isn't that great, but it's like the best that we could find. Like, is there too much happening in the chorus? Whatever those things are.
Yeah.
I love coming in, getting all the files, getting them into my mix session, and as I start addressing the mix, finding those little things that are not, mix things. They're definitely production things, but it's way easier for me, for example, to like find a better snare drum sound than it is to try to EQ and compress and add stuff to a snare drum that sucks. So for me, like that, like being I don't want to say like the tiebreaker, but like being the outside person that helps to bring the objective set of ears to the end of the production process to say, you don't need 7 different pads playing the same chord in this bridge. Like, let's get rid of a couple of these. It'll sound better.
Yeah.
That's where I am. And that's the problem that I solve is like, yeah, they need a mix, but also like they need somebody to help them to just cross the T's and dot the I's at the end of the production because they've lost objectivity themselves. And that's a lot harder to express if I were to just consider it the service niche and just say, well, I need, my clients need mixing and additional production. It's like, yeah, but the problem I'm solving is a lot deeper and more creative, and it's something that I'm helping them to like feel okay about the decisions that they're making.
Yeah.
So, style niche, problem niche, and the one that I think is the biggest influence on how I decide if I want to work with somebody or not, is the personality niche. It's what are they like to talk to? Are they a good hang? Right?
Huge.
Like, do they respect my boundaries? Do they make me feel appreciated? Do they are they just easy, like fun to work with, easy to work with? Am I able to understand their vision, and like, do we see eye to eye more often than not? Not that we're like exact clones of each other, but like, do I feel like we can both be teammates to work towards a communal vision for the project? So my niche, is like my ideal client, the people that I'm always trying to aim for, the people that I'm always trying to make my content for as a mixing engineer, people I'm trying to reach out to. They're in the center of that Venn diagram of the style of music, the style characteristics of the music that I like. They need, mixing and peace of mind from helping to like wrap up the last little loose ends for the production process before mixing. And I just like love talking to them. I get excited when I get mix revision notes from them because I know that we're on the same page, both trying to make the song better.
Yeah, dude. Okay, yeah. And listeners, I want you to notice something very, very, very important. Money was not mentioned at any point in any of those three things, because I think the money, like the money conversation, if that person doesn't fit those three things, money doesn't really matter at that point, because you don't need to be working with them at the end, because you're not going to be able to. You're going to hate working with them. That's going to always be a nightmare. You're not going to be able to fulfill on what you do best, and they're going to have a worse end product, so they're not going to feel like you were worth the money anyway. And if you hate the music, it's going to be I mean, I don't know if you do this, but like if I have a project that I've taken on because I'm like, I need the money at the end of the month or whatever kind of budget thing, and I don't like it, it's a process for me to force myself to sit in front of the computer and work on that project.
You know, it wasn't explicitly said, but when you think about the whole concept of that, like the problem niche versus the service niche, like, or the service niche circle, the more specific of a problem that you can solve, like they're going to be more willing to pay it. You know what I mean?
100%.
You know, because if you're just looking for someone to mix a song, then there's a lot of people that can do that.
Well, it's a commodity.
It's a commodity, you know? But if you're looking for somebody that you can trust, that has tastes that you like, that can come in and help you to make decisions about things that have eluded you, that feels like a much more valuable thing, right? So like the money will come, you know, because you're solving more specific, bigger problems that they're not going to find anybody else.
Yeah.
That can do it. That can do it the way that you do it.
And so I want to use a recent guest, Harley Eblin. I don't know if you know Harley at all. So Harley's a really great example of this, like the non-service, but really like what Harley does really well, which is like works with people who want emotional strings on, they want weird sounds and effects and things like that, and like they want that extra like sparkle of stuff. And he said it really, really well, is like, I try to push back against being a commodity as much as possible. If they're looking for a strings guy, just a guy to put strings on a thing, it's like, I'm not your guy. I'm actively not your person for that, because I do these things, these very specific things really, really well. And if you're just looking for a strings guy, like, go grab a patch off a contact. But like, but if you want what I do, that is like why you come to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you think of it this way, like if I have a leaky toilet, right, I can call pretty much any plumber and they'll come and fix it. Mm-hmm. If I have a leak in my aquarium salination tank, I'm not going to Google local plumbers. You know what I mean? Like, I have to get someone that understands that thing. And it's the same reason when when producers are hesitant to relinquish control of doing everything on the song, I champion delegation, and I champion doing as little in a project as I possibly can. And that sounds like, and you're smiling, but like,
I understand you.
Not because I don't want to do work, but I want to be surrounded by people that do everything else in the project way better than me. Mm-hmm. So I could, if I wanted to build a shed like from scratch, like out in the yard, I probably could do it. I mean, it would take some YouTube videos and probably a lot of frustration. Yeah. But I could do it. Or I could hire one person and they could do it. Mm-hmm. You know, like one contractor could probably do it like pretty easily.
Yeah.
But if I'm building an art museum, and I'm not going to hire the same guy that did the HVAC system at the house to do like the temperature and humidity control in the fine art section of like Renaissance paintings, right? Like why would you do that? Like if something is like that important and that's special, like you want to get someone that really, really knows the intricacies of like how to solve that unique problem.
Yeah.
And the kind of artists that I want to work with look at their music like that. They don't look at their own music like a commodity. They look at their own music as an important piece of self-expression, and also probably an important piece of them growing a sustainable career for themselves. So I'm not, the clients I'm attracting and that I'm trying to find are not looking for the commodity. They're looking for the specialist.